Post Malone is a New York rapper, trap rapper, cloud rapper, rap rocker, if you want to be labelled as that in 2018. I mean, we know how bad rap rock was back in the 2000s, so if you're labelled a rap rock now, you're probably not going to age well. And he has seen massive success. I mean, it feels like years ago since I remember White Iverson, like, going viral, you know, going near the top of the charts, being a huge hit. I don't even remember what year that was, but it feels like years ago. I think probably like 2014 maybe. Yeah, and it never interested me. And his subsequent singles after that continued to get worse and worse. I mean, White Iverson in retrospect is kind of one of his better songs, really, because every other song he released just got worse, and his albums were panned by critics, even though they did do well commercially. A pretty common thing these days in the modern rap world. I guess we'll have to see what stands the test of time. Are the critics completely wrong? Or is it that fans are paying attention to the wrong kind of music? I don't know, but one thing I do know is that Post Malone's projects have never even been close to good. They're just not. He's a very uninteresting, drowsy rapper who really hasn't got any sort of charisma in his delivery. You know, he's just standard. He raps about your usual stuff in modern rap, drugs, occasionally he sings about girls too. The kind of shit that really just is making modern rap getting more and more tedious as it goes along. However, he's always been branded as like a mumble rapper, a modern day mumble rapper. And it's one of those things that's starting to like get less and less accurate. I mean, every rapper that gets thrown in this pool like sounds completely different to all the other rappers that are branded as mumble rappers. And to be honest, I do think it's people that aren't in the know, that aren't paying attention to music closely, that say this. I had loads of comments on my Eminem review saying like, oh, you don't like Eminem? Well, you must like mumble rap. And it's like, well, who are you referring to? I mean, even if I did, then they're completely different to Eminem anyway. They bring a different style, a different approach, a different vibe. So what was the point of saying that? So there are people that do say that all mumble rap is the same, but you know, Kodak Black sounds different to Young Thug. Young Thug sounds different to Lil Pump. Lil Pump sounds different to Future. Future sounds different to Lil Uzi Vert. And Lil Uzi Vert sounds different to Post Malone. And yet you'll see everyone just labelling all of them as mumble rap. And yeah, most of those artists I mentioned I'm not really a fan of, except for Young Thug, I'd say. You know, generally I think a lot of these new age rappers aren't really bringing that much, even though occasionally they'll have one single that's really fun, and that's the kind of stuff I'm looking for. But Post Malone to me has never brought that, so I didn't have any expectations for this album whatsoever. But once again, my expectations have completely been misunderstood or completely just wrong, because every time I have high expectations, an album lets me down. Every time I have low expectations, an album surprises me. It shouldn't even be a surprising thing at this point, but it just tends to be the case every release. And no, I'm not trying to say that I love this album or I think this is a good album or it's a great album. Honestly, I wouldn't say it's any of those things. I think it's just decent. It's merely decent, and there are plenty of flaws that are obvious with this album, which I'll get into. But yeah, I mean, it's not as bad as I thought, and it could potentially be his best project yet. Beerpongs and Bentleys unfortunately doesn't have any references to beer pong. Beer pong's such a great game, man. I mean, come on. The amount of fun you get from beer pong is unbelievable. He missed an opportunity to have a song about beer pong on this album, man. He really did. And yet somehow we get a Sweet Life of Zack and Cody reference, which I completely welcome. However, I do think he could have, you know, incorporated more fun references in that song. I mean, I don't think it's as good as it could have been, but yeah, you know, Post Malone's not exactly known for his lyrics. And that's definitely something you notice across the album. I mean, there are plenty of songs that have very uninteresting lyrical topics. They're either about, you know, a relationship, or they're about taking drugs, or if not, they're just about nothing. Like you hear some of these songs and I take away nothing because I don't really know what he's trying to say or go for. I mean, I'd say the worst songs on this album are by far the relationship ones. I mean, his lack of understanding for women on some of these songs is hilarious. I mean, he's only a year younger than me, and I'm not trying to be like, oh, well, I'm a relationship guru. I know what I'm doing all the time. I'm a genius. Like, obviously, men are never completely clued up in relationships. It's the same with women about men, men about women, or men about men, women about women, whatever. Like, no one can be perfect in a relationship, but oh boy, rich and sad. I mean, oh man, you can't title a song "Rich and Sad" and expect sympathy. I mean, come on, dude. I don't. I just don't want to. I kind of wish the money made you stay. I mean, dude, like, did no one ever teach you that there's more to love than money? Like, saying that out loud sounds stupid because it's just a thing that we all should know, but apparently he thinks that women are just gold diggers and the only thing that she would stay for is his money. Fucking hell, it's just so surface level, like, doofus idiocy. Like, I just have no sympathy for a guy that seems to think that can keep a relationship going. A track like Stay, which comes later on in the album, is the most fucking generic love ballad I've heard since like a Goo Goo Dolls song. I mean, you may as well have just credited them as writing the music. It's just fucking the same as what they used to do in like the 90s. Jesus Christ, I mean, Ronan Keating, is he on this song? Because it sounds like he is. What? Don't you want to invite The Calling to this song too? I mean, people watching this probably don't even know those references, but back in like the early 2000s, those artists were making some really like trite love ballads that were so cliche and just so, and they just sound terrible all these years later. But like, here he is, a trap rapper apparently doing this on his album, and I just have no interest in this. But then it's proof that he clearly doesn't fucking learn anything from the Rich and Sad song, because on the track Same Bitches, he's like, who's your daddy? Is he rich like me? Is he rich like me? Well, on that song, you were saying that being rich didn't keep the girl anyway, so why are you saying this shit now? Did you not learn that the money ain't doing anything for you? You've obviously got to improve your sex skills, Post. No, but seriously, on this track, there is a good feature from YG. YG redeemed himself here, because the last time I heard him on a song was that Cardi B song. That was one of the worst things I've ever heard YG do. But he sounds good on this song, and honestly, I kind of wish most of the song had YG on it instead of just the last minute. But I'll take what I can get. And these songs that I've mentioned, Stay, Same Bitches, and plenty other songs in the latter half of this album, really don't do anything for me. Like, I couldn't even tell you how some of them sounded. The last couple of songs were really average in their sound. Blame It On Me is just really not my kind of thing. I mean, it's like, blame it on me, it's not my fault, like really sarcastic sort of jabs at the person that you were once with. I mean, it's just never a topic that I can sort of get with. You can never just blame something all on one person. There's always two sides to it, and when I hear just one side in a song, I'm just like, oh, shut up, just shut up. But there, I'm just only addressing the second half of this album, and honestly, the first half, I would have took as like an EP, or even just like a 10-track album, because the glaring issue with this album is 1 hour and 4 minutes in length. Come on, dude. I mean, you proved that in the second half you ran out of ideas, because all of those songs were like throwaway. I get that these artists always do this thing for the streams, but I just wish that trend died out. I mean, we just don't need it. I mean, at least Cardi B had like a pretty decent 45-minute-ish album. I mean, I didn't really like the album, as you may remember from my review, but I mean, like, the length was perfect, and that still did well in sales and streams, so I don't really know what these artists are trying to accomplish, honestly. But yeah, 1 hour and 4 minutes, no. But the first half, honestly, pretty solid. Paranoid, great opening track. I really love the beat on this song. The atmosphere he conjures up with these sort of cloudier trap beats, I think, is his best style easily. He has a really good track with Sway Lee, second on the album, straight after Paranoid. Again, I wish Sway Lee's feature was a bit better, but overall the sound of the song is really catchy. It's these kind of tracks that make me think, actually, you know what, Poster's got some pretty high potential when it comes to more trap leaning songs, because he started off his career doing it and it was really bad, but now a few years later he's actually doing it well. Rockstar is a great example of that. I still think it's a really good song, one of the better popular songs from 2017 in my opinion. Still like it a lot. Think 21 Savage's inclusion is really good too. Both artists, again, I'm not really a big fan of, but coming together on that track, they really did well. And Post's singing on that first verse, like after the chorus, is so good. Proving that there is some versatility in his music, and even more proof of that is Over Now, which is like this rap rock song. And it's funny because at the start of the video I was like, well, rap rock doesn't age well, but it turns out Post Malone does it pretty well. The beat is damn good. Post is singing over this track. He does the rock tracks pretty well, honestly. I don't think it's bad at all, considering it could have gone terribly, and the last time we heard rap mixed with rock was Tekashi 6ix9ine, and that turned out shit. So at least Post Malone has some talent in this area. Zack and Codeine, already mentioned this one, probably the catchiest song on the album. This is a really good song, great chorus. Like I said, probably could have done with a few more references to Zack and Cody to sort of tie it all in and make it just a really nostalgia heavy track that everyone who's about Post Malone's age could relate to, because when they were a kid, that was all that was on the Disney Channel, and it was a great TV show. Come on, man. Sweet Life of Zack and Cody, classic. And Better Now as well is a great track. Yeah, this one honestly doesn't really have that much lyrically to it. I mean, it's pretty straightforward. It's kind of like, you know, are you better now that you're not with me? You know, it's that kind of thing. It's a bit manipulative, honestly, but I think he does sort of do it in a way that a lot of people would do once they've gone through a breakup. A lot of people feel this way. It's pretty relatable, I think. And I don't think it's a terrible thing to think this way. I think some people might hear this song and, you know, trash him for saying something like that, being so, you know, like manipulative towards a girl, to be such like an arsehole. But I think a lot of people feel this way once someone's broke up with them. So I'm not going to really throw him under a bus for saying something like this. I think there's worse things you could say in a relationship. I mean, he proves it on the album with the plenty of tracks that he messes up with his relationship thoughts. And Ball for me with Nicki Minaj. I mean, not usually a kind of song that I'm that into, but I think Nicki Minaj comes through here. I think she has started to improve a little bit recently, probably because of Cardi B. I think it's kind of put some competition in Nicki Minaj's like rapping to sort of be like, well, I'm gonna try and be above her. I mean, the media's totally like overblown this Cardi B versus Nicki Minaj thing. I don't buy any of that, honestly, at all. I probably wouldn't be surprised if they were good friends, but it's the way they always do it with female rappers. But still, you're going to be competitive against other rappers out there that might be taking your title or whatever. So I think she has sort of improved recently. And so yeah, I think I've said quite a lot about this album that I would say is good and bad. Probably not much else to say. I mean, even the tracks that lyrically aren't particularly always that good have a really good sound to them. I think he does the cloudier trap rap thing really well. There's always a nice atmosphere to some of the songs. The beats sound good. Even in the second half, some of the beats are pretty good. It just definitely falls apart in that part of the album because lyrically, again, it gets worse. Musically, it's not as engaging as the first half. And so overall, I would say there's like slightly more hits than misses with this album, which is something I wasn't expecting, and so therefore I'm gonna have to say it's actually pretty decent overall. Just wish it was like 10 tracks instead of 18, because 10 tracks I probably would have ended up being more positive about it, but for what it is, I'm gonna go C-. Not a bad album. Definitely think he can improve, definitely think he's not like the best thing in the rap game right now, but he's certainly versatile. Definitely give him credit for that. And yeah, not a bad album, honestly. Let me know your thoughts on this if you've heard it. Subscribe to the channel for more reviews. If you enjoyed this one, like it and all that stuff. Comment. Yeah, that is all I've got to say. So, hope you enjoyed the review. Tell me what I should review next as well. And have a good day. Have a good day.